What's up, everybody? Welcome to Fantasy Sports Now. We're going to make this nice and quick for you guys. We got the injury report. Let's just dive right into the content so we can knock this out. First off, we got to talk about Sonny Gray, right groin strain. The only thing I really am concerned about with Sonny Gray is he seems to be piling up some of these injuries at this point. He's been pitching pretty well, actually, this season, which I expect him to. He's always been kind of this injury-prone guy, and just another one to the list. He's kind of like Strasburg in that manner, about the same age, too, really. Luckily, Sonny Gray hasn't had like a big time shoulder thing, at least recently. Hopefully, he can come back in the minimum and come back to what he was doing before because he was looking pretty darn good. Next, probably much worse news. Chicago White Sox have another guy going down. A pretty bad looking injury to right hamstring, full on tear. It looked like it was a very serious injury when it happened while I was watching this game, and it turns out that it was. So Eloy out, Robert out, now Madrigal out. So all of the Chicago White Sox kind of young bucks. Vaughn is still out there, but man, what a blow here at this point. Madrigal, he's not a guy that's going to hit for power. He's going to hit like 300 and he's not going to strike out. I mean, that's kind of what you're looking for out of him at this point. And being so young, man, that's such a big blow. And it sucks for Chicago having so many injuries racking up here. And hopefully we see him again at some point this year. Now, let's start getting into some good news here. Luke Voit, he's going to start his rehab assignment here really soon, and it sounds like they don't expect him to have that many games in AAA or AA, wherever he is. He's going to have this rehab. Again, they're kind of assuming no setbacks. Agreed. So hopefully Luke Voit can return back to this lineup. The Yankees just seem to be lacking a punch, and Luke Voit might be the guy that is needed here. It just feels like right now LeMahieu isn't quite the guy he was last year. Stanton is deteriorating. He's been a lot better this week, actually, so maybe he's coming back. Judge is still looking good. Torres is looking okay, but they're lacking that big punch in the middle, and I feel like they're really struggling offensively lately. The last two games have been much better, but Luke Voit can actually come in and potentially solve those problems, and we can get that Yankee offense that we all know and love or hate. Um, Buxton is coming back, sounds like soon. He was absolutely dominating before he got injured, and so far it looks like he hit 2 home runs, had 5 RBI in his AAA game. I mean, that's awesome to see because we're all hoping that maybe this is finally the year that Buxton breaks out in a big way and is actually the guy that we always thought he could and should be. He's never really shown that he is that guy, but now all of a sudden he has. So hopefully this is good news all around. Hopefully it comes back. The Twins desperately need something to change. They just look abysmal right now on all facets of the game, and their team is not this bad. And yet here we go. So Buxton could be exactly what they need. Lance McCullers also starting to come back. This is great news. A lot of times you have these shoulder things and they linger for a season even. But it sounds like he might pitch next week. So this is great for Houston Astros. Obviously, he obviously looked good in this one. You kind of take these with a grain of salt, but I expect him to pitch next week, and I don't know if he'll go the full 100, but we'll see what happens there. Mondesi, man, I feel bad for Mondesi. It's such a weird season so far, just hurting hamstrings, keeps getting hurt. But he's kind of back on the mend again. If you have him sitting on the DL, I say still just be patient. I still think that he could have a huge season despite all these injuries. And by huge season, I obviously mean when he returns forward. I really think that this guy, maybe next year, is going to be such a good buy low candidate that you could get him for maybe nothing. And I think that he could, seriously, I do think that he could be a top 5, top 8 at worst shortstop in the league. So it's somebody we got to keep on our radars here. More good news, Kevin Biggio is looking to return this weekend. Toronto is such a man. I want to see Toronto. I've said this many times. I want to see Toronto with their full lineup. I want to see Springer. I want to see Biggio. I want to see Vlad and Semien all together. And I haven't been able to see that yet. Springer's still out, obviously. I don't have an update for him on here, but he's still out. But the good news is we're going to get one of those guys back in Biggio, and hopefully we're getting closer to seeing that full Toronto lineup mashing. Ian Kennedy goes on the DL. It's retroactive, so they're hoping it's not going to be that long of a stay. Messed up hamstring. It's a little different for pitchers than it is for hitters. It does linger still, but you don't. I mean, I don't want to say you don't use it because that's obviously not true. Obviously, you use it enough to strain it. But usually with pitchers, it's a shorter absence. It's usually not re-aggravated like it is like with Mondesi, kind of a thing. So for Texas as a closing situation, it's basically going to be a mess until he comes back. They're just going to committee the sucker until he comes back. I think at this point, and he's going to come back pretty soon. So I wouldn't go rushing into, oh, I'm going to pick up his guy. I mean, Texas isn't getting a whole lot of save opportunities as it is. Back to the Yankees here. We got to keep this guy in mind. Severino coming back from the Tommy John, unlike Noah, actually looks like he's going to potentially restart the roster here in July, which is coming up pretty soon. I really personally don't think he's ever going to get back to his dominant days. I think that it was kind of a flash in the pan for a couple of seasons. I don't want. Okay, here's the thing. Severino, really good, obviously. He was an ace for a good 2, maybe 3 years, and I think that people are expecting him to come back and return to ace status, and I just don't think so because the last couple of seasons he was struggling a bit more, and it could have been because of the elbow, it could have been because of lingering injuries and all that. So it's possible he does turn back to that ace status. Based on the way he kind of went out, and based on the whole Tommy John and all, I really don't think he's going to be like, oh man, New York's getting their ace back. Like I just don't see that. I think him as a solid kind of number 3. That's just my take. We'll see what happens with him. And that's the list, guys. Nice and short and sweet for you guys. And we'll see you next time.